Good evening and welcome. Superintendent Morris, Regional School Committee Chair Nakajima, other members of the Regional School Committee, ARHS faculty and staff, parents and guardians, family and friends, graduates of the class of 2017. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you to the 153rd graduation of Amherst Regional High School. Tonight, we celebrate our graduates and their accomplishments, and at the same time, acknowledge contributions of all Amherst Public School faculty and staff for all their work on behalf of the graduates across 12 years. And to that end, we've invited representatives from all our sending elementary schools and middle schools to be with us on stage this evening. Their presence, along with the high school faculty, hopefully reminds you that for your entire career, from kindergarten to today, you've been enveloped by adults with a deep investment in your success. But before I introduce our invited guests, a word about the ARHS faculty and staff. These are the adults who, for the last 4 years, have shepherded you. You've confided in them, trusted them, willingly followed their lead. And importantly, in return, they modeled for you what it is that maturity requires. Your and our debt to them is large. So at this time, I would ask the ARHS faculty and staff to stand and that we acknowledge them with a round of applause. And usually they're all right here in front. So if we could stand and everybody acknowledge, right? So now to our middle and elementary school guests. I will read their names, the schools in which they work, their subject area, and their years of service to the district. I would like to start with Crocker Farm, and as soon as I say that, I'm going to stick an asterisk on that because we're going to introduce Karen Womokley, the school nurse who spent 15 years at Fort River, and this is her first year at Crocker Farm. Karen Womokley. From Fort River, Chris Griswold, 3rd grade, 10 years. Chris. From Leverett School, Chris Geiling, special education, 13 years. Right. No, Nick? There you are. Good. Okay. It's all good. So I'm going to introduce Nick Yaffe, but his resume for tonight is a little longer than everybody else's because he spent many years as the principal of Marks Meadow and a teacher there, as well as the principal of Wildwood. So Nick Yaffe, principal, 28 years. So from the middle school, Patrick Hunter, special education, 10 years. Patrick. From Pelham School, Tony Shaw, 4th grade, 20 years. Tony. And lastly, from Shutesbury, Heather Lobenstein, librarian, 22 years. Heather. So before we proceed any further, I would just like to acknowledge the small army of people who toil largely in anonymity behind the scenes. And they're the ones that order the flowers, organize the diplomas, set the schedule. We're really in their debt because we have a long tradition of this running fairly seamlessly. And primarily, that debt we owe to Terry Ominsky, and she is right there, and I want to single her out. Stand up, please, Terry. Right? Thank you very much. As well, Terry was assisted by Michaela Tarr, Pam White, Kathy Tracy, Gabby Scott, and Connie Capelli. And I was told rehearsal was the best ever this morning, right? The best ever. So Ms. Haygood, wherever you are, a shout to you, right? So to begin, it's customary for me to do a little accounting, to play back to you in the presence of those who love you the most, some of your accomplishments, showing you off, you might say. So let's start with performing arts. This year, Jeremiah and Abby were selected to the All-State Chorus. Right, Jeremiah up. So, and Emma earned a National School Orchestra Award. And in the visual arts, 3 Amherst Regional High School students received 2017 Scholastic Art and Writing Awards, which I'm told by Mr. Stoddard is the nation's longest running and most prestigious recognition program for creative arts grades 7 through 12. And we just didn't have 1, we had 3, Ava, Maya Durham, and Ling. Congratulations, right. So, just another little asterisk. So we just seem to have a surplus of outstanding art students this year that have the first name of Maya. So usually I just read the first names of kids, but there's so many Mayas, I'm going to make an exception here and add their last names as well. So we had 8 senior art students who won Boston Globe Scholastic Art Competition awards this year. And they're Ava again, Maya Spalding-Fetcher, Maya Durham, Maya Jabrala, Julian Ling, Amy May, and Naya. Congratulations. All right. So in athletics, we had 2 Western Mass Athletes of the Year, according to the Daily Hampshire Gazette, in 2 sports, Megan in volleyball and Samson in soccer. And at the team level, boys soccer won Western Mass, girls volleyball won Western Mass, boys basketball, right, and I don't think of this one as an asterisk at all, third time in a row we went to the Western Mass Finals. And for those of you who are here that we're in the cage this year, you know that we were down at half by 9, down at the end of 3 by 5, and went up by 1 with a minute to go. We didn't hold on though. But it was an outstanding game, and it was worth me mentioning that tonight. So the boys basketball team, right. And finally, our boys ultimate team won the state championship, right? Very good. So it's also the case that over our 4 years together, I've watched you demonstrate strong interest and leadership in a range of social justice issues. This year, Juliana and Ben were winners of the Martin Luther King Jr. Scholarships. Let me tell you why, for community service and academic achievements, right. And the Amherst Human Rights Commission has also announced that 4 Amherst Regional High School seniors are recipients of this year's Hero Awards. The Hero Awards recognize unselfishness, social courage, and/or community service within their families, their school, or the community. The winners are Nick, Lauren, Isaiah, and Gina. And our Refugees in Distress Club also won an award. Congratulations. And lastly, a brief story about our Dialogue Day. So there's much about that day that was remarkable, but there is one particular story that I want to make sure does not get lost in the evening. As you know, we have students from all over the world who enroll in our high school. How they arrive here varies widely. So on Dialogue Day, 14 of those recently arrived students decided to tell the story of their journey to this country, which in my judgment was an enormously courageous act. 5 of them are members of the class of 2017 and are here with us tonight. Congratulations. Right. So tonight, for my remarks, I want to begin them with a discussion about our gym. Hang in for a minute. So this is the gym in the building that you walked out of last Friday for the last time. So for the sake of our guests, what you need to know is that we had a flood last August in our gym. The floorboards buckled and the gym became unusable. But with the help of a generous insurance settlement, we were able to not only replace the floor, but entirely renovate the space. So for the sake of these remarks, I want to see what there is to salvage from the gym's demolition. I do think there's a story here, one about the important role that the world needs all of you to play. So first, some history. Our library, our cafeteria, our tech wing, along with the 2nd and 3rd floors, were built in 1996. The remainder of the 1st floor, and this includes the gym, was built in 1956, and that was more than 60 years ago. Time when Eisenhower was president and cell phones were not yet mobile. Cell phones didn't even exist, right? So over the spring, After the construction crew finished the demolition, I took a walk through the space. Without bleachers and floorboards, our gym became an airplane hangar. 4 walls and a roof were all that remained. It was a quiet, meditative moment. The gym was perfectly still. No balls bouncing, no fans yelling, "Warm up the bus." Just try to get that in there just a little bit, right? And it was here that I started thinking about the bleachers. Specifically, I thought of them as an artifact of an idea whose time had not yet come, which is the theme for my remarks. On one hand, the bleachers provided a huge home court advantage. The sound generated by 500 people stomping on them was enough to make any player from Long Meadow miss their foul shot. And at the same time, our bleachers did not have aisles, handrails, shallow steps, or cutout spaces for wheelchairs. And as such, they provide a window on a time when considerations of access weren't on most people's radar. We actually have a small trove of black and white photographs from the day when the construction began in 1954. A bunch of middle-aged men in trench coats and fedoras with shovels in their hands, ready to ceremoniously begin digging the school's foundation. And they were all beaming, and as proud as they looked at the beginning of the project, I imagine them equally proud at the beginning of that first basketball season. But nowhere in the collective consciousness of that group, through no fault of their own, was there a thought extended to those with diminished mobility. Access to public spaces was an idea that had not yet entered mainstream consciousness. Fast forward 60 years, and access is now the central consideration in the gym's redesign. In both letter and spirit, the new bleachers will comply with the building code and have railings, aisles, shallow steps, and cutouts for wheelchairs. The decades-long effort of activists and legislators has permanently altered how we think about access to public spaces. But while my example tonight is access, what I'm really interested in is ideas and their arcs. The trajectory across time of ideas that begin as a solitary experience and an injustice unnamed. That begins smaller, gather steam, and eventually come to redefine life, making it more just and equitable. These arcs provide a measure of vindication to Dr. King's confidence that the arc of the moral universe bends towards justice. But there is no inexorable law here, nothing on the order of gravity that preordains just and equitable outcomes. What bends the world towards justice is volition, the acts of individual groups who choose to find and keep their voices when it matters most, and understand that stamina is a moral quality just as much as a physical one. So whether it's the installation of one set of accessible bleachers or the telling of the story of how you braved harrowing conditions to enter this country, whether it's creating a more race-conscious workplace, my hope is that all of you, as you work your way through adulthood, find an idea whose arc is in doubt. And with both hands latched onto it, you will help bend it in the direction of justice. This is what the world asks of all of us. And from all that I know about you, you are certainly up to the task. So it's time to sign off now. Over the years, I've closed my address in a variety of ways. But this year, I think it's time to surrender to digital reality. You're looking at a guy who still mourns the loss of his flip phone. So I checked the other day, I have 85 Facebook friends. Interesting that you did that, because someone I know laughs at that number. Almost half of my Facebook friends are former students, people who had me as a teacher. Most of them are in their mid to late 40s, have families of their own, and live all over the world. Facebook allows me to live next door to them. And as an aging educator, I can't tell you how satisfying that is. There are names and faces on that list that were once on my class roster, and if the pattern held, they would be lost to me forever. And now I get to watch their kids grow up and their hair turn gray. So I'm very mindful, follow me now, I'm very mindful that we should wait several years before hitting confirm. That's a line that bears repeating. The superintendent's sitting right here, right? But nonetheless, here's the line that I never thought I'd say, least of all standing right here. You can find me on Facebook. Because I'm very interested in how this all turns out for you. Please be well. Thank you very much. So now it's my pleasure to present the Amherst Regional High School Chorale and Hurricane Singers under the direction of Mr. Todd Fruth.
stage before you. Open up the dirty window, let the sun illuminate the words that you cannot find. Reaching for something in the distance, so close you can almost taste it. Release your inhibitions. Feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you. Only you can let it in. No one else can speak the words on your lips. Judge yourself in words unspoken. Live your life with arms wide open. Today is where your book begins. The rest is still unwritten.
Good evening. I appreciate you guys banging the ball around to help me feel comfortable in my space. Here's the athletic director. So I'm proud to introduce the valedictorians for the class of 2017. We have some unique stats this year for our valedictorians. I'm into stats as a sports guy. We're continuing our downward trajectory on the number of valedictorians this year. We peaked at 5 in 2014 and 15. We had 4 last year, and we're down to 3 this year. What's different about this year is that we only have female valedictorians. So, the data clearly shows us where the blame falls for the dwindling number of 4.0 students in the class of 2017. I'm sure there are lots of you guys out there, though, who were at the 3.9 range. How do you end up with multiple class valedictorians? Well, they all finished high school with an A or an A+ in every class they took over the past 4 years, earning a perfect 4.0. Another unique and refreshing stat, at least I think, for our 3 scholars is that 2 of them are taking a gap year before heading to college next year. I did a bit of research this morning on what exactly a gap year is for those of you who don't know. According to the American Gap Association, yes, there's actually an accredited association dedicated to gap years. A gap year is an experiential semester or year typically taken between high school and college in order to deepen practical, professional, and personal awareness. I think college advisors used to just tell students that it might be a good idea to take a year to find yourself before heading off to college, but now we have an official term for this and an association dedicated to putting some structure in place for this period in a young adult's life. I think most 17 and 18-year-olds would benefit tremendously from this type of experience, and I think it's great that 2 of our valedictorians are beginning their post-high school lives in this fashion. So much so that I tried to talk the 3rd valedictorian into taking a gap year as well. She didn't go for it. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our 3 valedictorians who will join us on stage as they are announced. So please welcome up to the podium Maya Spalding-Fetcher, Emma Mack, and Shira Yezkel-Mednick. Come on up. I told you guys the wrong side, I'm sorry. You can be over here. So our first valedictorian, Maya, will attend Williams College, where she plans to study environmental studies. She would also like to continue with her talents in the studio arts and her work with social justice groups on campus. Emma will complete a gap year living in Logroño, Spain, which is in the northwest part of the country. She will work as an au pair for a local family and study Spanish as a part-time student at the University of La Rioja. When she completes her gap year, she will attend Olin College of Engineering outside of Boston. She would also like to continue her pursuits of visual arts and filmmaking and get outside to rock climb as much as possible. Shira is our final valedictorian, and she will also be completing a gap year next year. She plans to split her time into 3 parts: traveling, completing a homestay in Central or South America, and finishing with a work-study program. Her focus will be on exploring different cultures, which has been a passion of hers since she was little. When she completes her gap year, Shira will attend Wesleyan University, where she will study liberal arts. Shira will continue her athletic endeavors by playing in the Ultimate Team, and she also plans to be involved with visual and performing arts and continue her social justice work. So congratulations to the 3 of you, and best of luck with all your future endeavors. Please now give your attention to our class of 2017 valedictorians.
Just when we thought we were done with high school, they asked us to write a speech. In 36 hours. Like the bona fide high school graduates we are, with 4 years of organizational knowledge under our belts, we began the process with a wild bout of procrastination. The first step to this group project was to take a leisurely stroll down to the Black Sheep, order a round of sandwiches, have the obligatory post-grad discussion, and consult our steadfast companion, Google.
Google, how do you write a valedictorian speech?
Here is a WikiHow article titled, "How to Write a Valedictorian Speech with Pictures."
Okay, so back to the drawing board, and on to the next logical step, to turn our search towards something a little more relevant to the class of 2017.
Google, what are some interesting facts about the number 17?
There are 17 species of hedgehog. 17 is the number you're most likely to pick if you're asked to choose a random number between 1 and 20. There are 17 syllables in a haiku. 17 is a prime number.
So we already knew that the class of 2017 is prime, but there's one other important thing to that factor. Prime numbers are indivisible.
And while it's true that right now we're about to go our separate ways, for the last 4 years, we've been one undivided unit. We've all survived countless fire drills, some questionable lead poisoning in the water, and MCAS. We can all navigate the library databases in our sleep and know exactly how long we can loiter in the hallway and still get to class on time.
Amidst the veritable chaos of high school, we've achieved some pretty incredible things. It would be impossible to mention them all, so we're going to keep this brief. This year alone, in athletics, the boys' soccer and the undefeated girls' volleyball teams both won Western Mass championship titles. We had players across all 3 seasons win Player of the Year awards and be nominated for all state teams. Visual artists and writers in our class have won the nationally renowned Scholastic Art and Writing Awards and produced an impressive array of artwork for our annual ARTHS show.
Performing artists put on 6 quality productions this year with strong student leadership, while most schools put on only 2 or 3 in the same amount of time. Multiple musical groups sent students to prestigious all-state ensembles. The Amherst Human Rights Commission recognized students from our class as human rights heroes. Senior Model UN delegates received Best Delegate awards, and our school, as Schools Match Wits team, led by members of 2017, reached the semifinals.
As we, the class of 2017, reflect on our successes, we find that while many of them sprung from our own talent, dedication, and grit, we also depended upon the steady support from the adults in our lives. We know that for every hour of work we do, there's an adult who works many more, but it's easy to let that insight fade into the background and be forgotten. When we were younger, it was a given that they were just there, but now we are on our way to becoming them. And from this perspective, we can see the time, energy, and heart it takes to present all the opportunities we took advantage of every day in high school.
If we're going to name names, we must thank Mr. Jackson for being the core of ARHS. Ms. Capelli for being a literal angel sent down to help us with anything and everything. Ms. Ross for knowing the college landscape inside and out. Tracy Vernon for sticking by us as our advisor since the beginning. And Mr. Keenan for welcoming us to school every day. After all, Wednesday is the first day of the weekend.
And then there are the teachers, the custodians, the parents, guardians, and neighbors. These are the people who have taught us everything from the fundamental theorem of calculus to zipper lifts. They have spent innumerable hours taking care of tasks both monumental and nitty-gritty so that we could shine. They have watched us grow up and encouraged us every step of the way. We wish that we could give thanks to every single one of you individually, but know that we are beyond grateful for everything you have done for us. You've done your work. Now trust us to take what we've learned and run with it.
So now, here we are, running at full speed toward the future. Or rather, it's running at us. Time is funny like that, and daunting, because it's something we really have no control over. Yet, for the first time in our lives, the way we spend that time is about to become increasingly of our own invention. Think about that for a second, because it's freaking amazing. We leave here today, and we get to start pursuing our interests and get to start turning our lives into what we want them to be. Realize how incredible that is, how much fun it's going to be, and chase it relentlessly.
Whether you can't wait to be out of here or you bleed maroon and white, we will always be ARHS grads. This is the one last thing we will do together.
As the class of 2017,
Indivisible.
let's graduate!
It is my pleasure to recognize the Senior Class Council and commend them on the outstanding job they did supporting the class of 2017. Their work was not without the support of their dedicated class advisors, Mark Keenan and Tracy Vernon. At this time, I would like to recognize the Senior Class Council by asking them to stand when I call their names. Vice President Maxwell Hopley. Treasurer Harleen Kaur-Multani. Secretary Nastia Kavajuk. And last but not least, your Senior Class President, Benjamin Gilsdorf.
It's a really long walk up those ramps, so get ready. Interestingly enough, this won't be the first time that I graduate from Amherst Regional High School. Back in June of 2013, at the Amherst Regional Middle School Moving On ceremony, Mr. Jackson told us that the Mullins Center was already booked for us on Friday, June 9th, 2017, and that he was going to do all in his power to make sure we would cross the stage, shake his hand, and receive our diploma. When he asked for a volunteer to demonstrate this, overly zealous middle school Ben, serendipitously sitting in the front row, immediately raised his hand and was called forward to receive an invisible diploma. Hopefully later today I can get a real one, but based on how this speech goes, let's not hold our breath. Here we are, the class of 2017, the last high school graduating class to be born entirely in the 20th century. When we started high school, back in the fall of 2013, ARHS was a completely different place. We still had trimesters, 5-period days, a class called World Civ, Tom Brady had only won 3 Super Bowls, and there was no such thing as a fidget spinner. We started off our high school career in perhaps the most bizarre fashion. We managed to go to high school for about 2 consecutive days before the infamous slippery floor day. But all jokes aside, our freshman year was incredibly challenging. For all of us, it was not just a transition of place, but also of identity. We all walked through the doors on that first day, got our first ever good morning from Mr. Keenan, and even by the end of that day, we had all changed. And while freshman year is always hard for every set of 9th graders, for us it was especially so. I'll never forget that January morning when we found out that school had been canceled due to unforeseen circumstances, later to discover that there had been a threat of violence made towards the high school. I remember going into school the next day and feeling a widespread sense of fear and disunity among the student body. For us, especially as freshmen, it was hard to come to terms with what had happened, given that we had only been at the school for a couple of months and hadn't fully settled in. But I think that in that moment, we really began to come together as a class of 2017. Although there was no way to have mitigated what happened, we all realized that being connected with one another and understanding each other's problems and uniting everyone under a common identity was an easy way to do something. As a group, we truly matured and came together in the weeks after that, and it allowed us to become something greater than simply yet another freshman class. And not to put down the other classes before us, but I truly think that we have the strongest sense of community and class pride than any other class before us. In sophomore year, we won our first of what would eventually be 3 Spirit Week championships, which for me marked the observable beginning of our dominance in the high school. At the end of last year, when the then seniors left and we became top of the heap, I knew that we would have no trouble cementing our legacy in our final year at ARHS. As we maneuvered the difficulties of senior year, sorting through Ms. Ross's tidbits, filling out endless applications for college, jobs, or summer programs, and trying to figure out whether we dropped G period on day 1 or 7, which I frankly still don't know, we never once lost sight of what made our class great. Individuals in our grade won countless awards for art, athletics, academics, and music, but for me, the best moment of all was a weekend in November in which we not only won 2 Western Mass titles, but also permanently changed the spelling of the word Minichog to include 2 giant L's. Towards the end of this school year, when we all became more and more sure of what we would be doing next year, I was impressed, but no way surprised, by all the incredible things people are going to be doing. From those traveling the world to staying right here in Amherst, I am confident that each and every one of us is on our way to becoming an independent, talented, and accomplished individual. This success, however, is not entirely our own accomplishment. Behind every one of us walking across the stage today is a group of people who made sure we got there. Parents, teachers, friends, neighbors, whoever they may be. I know that I wouldn't have made it up here without all of your support. The class of 2017 always had my back and made my job so much easier. But I also want to thank my parents, and especially Anna, from helping me cobble together the medieval magazine at 1 in the morning during freshman year, to listen to me panic about this speech about 2 hours ago, to buying seemingly infinite boxes of brownie mix. You guys have been incredibly supportive, and I cannot imagine how I would have made it through high school without you. So, class of 2017, although you all thought you'd finally gotten away from me nagging you to do things, I want you to make sure that during this weekend, you take a break from celebrating and tell everyone who supported you throughout these 4 years just how grateful you are for what they've done for you. This is as much their accomplishment as it is yours. That is not to say, however, that you don't deserve any credit. I know that each and every one of you has worked your tail off, not just in high school, but all the way from kindergarten and even preschool. And I know that you will all continue to work your tails off next year, no matter what you're doing. It's been an honor to call myself your class president for the past 2 years. I've loved watching us all go from being freshmen to seniors, and I felt a shared sense of pride every time one of you achieved something great, which seemed to be pretty much every day. No matter what life holds for you, remember that you've always got a home here in Amherst, and I hope to see all of you at reunions down the road. And though I've said it countless times before, it rings true, especially tonight, 2017 on top.
And now I'd like to invite up the Amherst Regional High School Dance Theater Ensemble, choreographed by Ms. Tracy Vernon.
Lily moon, I see your face. I'll sit inside without a trace. Trail behind and ride your wave. And lily white, yet blushing crimson in the night. Will you be leaving with the light? And creeping over with the shadows at my side. Moonlight heals the sight. I step and turn while you stick feathers in my back. This flying lesson leaves a track. Darkness burns away. Shoulders burning fire, feather quills. The darkness burns away. Darkness burns away. Lit with shoulders burning fire, feather quills. The darkness burns away. Lily moon, I see your face inside these eyes.
Good evening. Our commencement speaker, a 1974 graduate of Amherst Regional High School, doesn't really need an introduction, but for the three of you out there in the audience who don't know him, let me provide a little background. This man has worked with children his entire adult life. He ran a daycare for 20 years, has adopted and fostered multiple children, and has been our campus monitor since 2002. He organizes the LSSE High School Rec Basketball League and works most ARHS home athletic events. In his free time, he reads voraciously, he does crossword puzzles, and he competes in the AEF Trivia Bee. Amazing people with his vast knowledge of cryptozoology. You don't know what that is? Go Google it after graduation. He starts every day with an enthusiastic and often humorous greeting for students and staff alike, and has been the co-advisor for the class of 2017 for the past 4 years. Still don't know who I'm talking about? Just take a look at the 2017 class shirt. His face is featured prominently there. I guess the seniors wanted to be able to take him with them when they left the building for good. So please put your hands together and help me welcome to the podium the other Mark Keenan, to give the 2000s speech.
I don't want you to get your expectations too high. As soon as I get dressed, we'll continue. Well, welcome to everyone. Welcome to parents, grandparents, guardians, families, hangers-on, teachers, administrators, central office people, I'd forget it, school committee people. I'd like to mention, now that you see my pictures, I'm starting a website, sort of a lifestyle brand. It's called the Mark Keenan Experience. We're going to have these shirts, but also a line of rompers for the young ladies and romp hymns for the boys. They're going to be maroon with my picture all over it. We got some ringtones. The normal one is good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. And for those of you with an international flair, we have the Queen. I am the campus monitor, I'm the doorman, I'm the athletic supervisor. I do a lot of things. I spend more time with these wonderful people than anyone else, and it is a good thing. I'm at the door in the morning, I'm at all the lunches, which is not a good thing. So if anybody ever asks you to sit the lunch, don't do it. I'm at all the home games, I'm at most of the plays, all the dance recitals. Tracy makes me go. I'm at everything. This class particularly has been a nice surprise. There's a really nice culture in this group, you guys. I shouldn't speak over you, that's rude. You have a closeness and a sense of community that, as Ben said, that's really nice to watch. However, I have spent many days telling you, don't, or go to class, don't throw food in the cafeteria, get out of the tree. And the one time I said, you know what, I would love to be considered for the speech. I don't want to win, but I just want to give the illusion that I'm brave and that I'm willing to stretch. And here I am. And by the way, I narrowly beat out Gary Rome and his dog, so take that. This is the first speech I've given since 1972. That one was about how to shoot a basketball, and judging from my experience as a rec league guy, I should probably do that speech now. So, the question is what to say. Everyone gives advice, none of you listen, but that's the job. So I'm going to start with the things that I've done wrong that I've learned from. I've never been much of a goal setter, and you usually hear at places like this, set goals. I've never been good at that, and it's sort of cost me. So if I were you, I would try to figure out what you want, how to get there. Don't get distracted and end up sitting in the cafeteria every lunch. I've always seen my life sort of as a leaf floating down a river. This is a good metaphor, by the way. You use this if you want. When you're young, the river's pretty deep, the river's pretty straight. It's easy, everything's working out. But like in everybody's life, the water level goes down, gets all windy, and you start getting stuck in backwaters and eddies, and it gets a little more difficult. If I had a rudder or a paddle or a goal, it may have been a little bit easier. Life is a balance between living and making enough money to live. I may have undershot the money part of it, but I think I've ended up doing what I'm supposed to do. I think we're all here for a purpose, and the problem is you don't know what that purpose is. So you need to be ready and open so that when that opportunity comes, Custard called this, by the way. Try not to do this. A lot of the best things I've done have been surprises, because again, I don't have goals. I took foster kids in because they were friends of my son, and at one point, I had enough. You know, my wife had just left, I had my kids, I had some older foster kids. I was just tired. And 17 years ago, I got a call. And they begged me to take this little kid. I just didn't want to do it. I'm tired, I don't want to do it, I want to stop. And it was 3:30 in the afternoon on a Friday, and they said, "We've tried everything, we don't know what to do with him." I go, "Well, good luck with that then, I'm busy." They said, "It's just for the weekend, Mark, just for the weekend. Trust us," which, if you ever do foster care or work for DCF, don't ever trust them. So I talked to my girls, and we, when we took a kid, it was forever. It wasn't, the bouncing around is what gets to them. So if we're going to make, thank you. When you make a commitment, we were going to make the commitment. So I finally said, okay, I'll take him for the weekend. The weekend has lasted 17 years. And he's now graduating. And as all the parents know, having kids is the best and the worst thing you can do. So that's one of the best things I've done. He was there when I needed him. And the same way you guys have been. There are a lot of days I come in, honestly, I don't really want to be there. It's hard to get the energy up to say good morning. It's early. I got other issues. And by 5-10 minutes, I'm right back where I should be because of your energy, seeing you guys, watching the ones that don't talk to me in the beginning of the year when they're freshmen to towards the end where they talk to me, they smile, they say good morning. It's a fun transition to watch. So I want to thank you for helping that. The other thing is, and I've learned this because I wasted a lot of time. Don't waste time. If you go to college, go to class, go to lectures, listen to people talk you don't agree with, go to weird European movies, do all that stuff. Connect with people. And if you're going out to work, put everything you got into the job. Make sure you have a job that you enjoy, but your job can save you too. And there's honor in working. Remember what's really important. Take a minute now and look around at everyone sitting around you, and then all the people up here who have been with you and supported you, and then the people up here who have done the same thing. People are what is important. The connections you make with people, not the connections you make when you're texting, because that doesn't count. Talk to people, help people when you can. Goes right back to your purpose. And this is a warning, if you buy a pickup truck, you will always have to move your friends. That's just how it works. Understand, and someday you will, the amount of effort and patience and stuff we've had to put up with. And it's worth it. I used to say I wouldn't come to graduation even when my kids graduated, but now I come every year because it's just wonderful to see you guys make it. I also want you to thank the nurses when you can. She's threatened me. You have to say thank you to Ms. Supernaut before I get in trouble. Again, community and connections. The only thing that saved me in my goalless, wasted time life is my friends and family. If I didn't have them, I'd be living in a box down by the river. So thank you for being there for me when I needed it, and thank you for working so hard and being so talented. There's a couple guys here from my class in '74, and I think they can vouch, we were never this talented. I don't know what happened, but I trust you all will do well. I hope you'll all stay happy. Remember to be kind, and if you can, say good morning to everybody, because it works. Thank you.
And now we'll hear from the Amherst Regional High School Wind Ensemble, conducted by Ms. Kara Nye. Okay, so as many of you know, the eminent poet Robert Frost was a longtime resident of the town of Amherst. And while he lived here, one of his lasting contributions to the community was to establish a foundation, a trust. And the purpose of the trust was to honor and acknowledge secondary education. It was his interest to promote within the community the interests of the secondary schools. And so in 1960, since 1960, Amherst High School, now Amherst Regional High School, has awarded 2 Robert Frost chairs. And annually they go to members of the faculty who are chosen by their peers because they represent the best of instructional prowess and commitment to children. And so our tradition is every year at graduation to announce the 2 Robert Frost Award chairs for the upcoming school year. So other than giving out diplomas, this is my favorite moment in the ceremony, because it's with great pleasure that I would like to introduce you to 2 people who create great value with children every day, and they have for a very long time, and it is only fitting that they are this year's honorees. So I have 2 names. I'd like for you to hold your applause until I read them both, and they will come up and receive their awards. So for 2018, the Robert Frost Teaching Chair Awards are presented to Kathleen Olson and Samantha Camera. And now I would like to introduce to you our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Michael Morris.
I'd first like to start by congratulating the graduates of the class of 2017. You've made an indelible impression on our schools throughout your time here. You are the 153rd graduating class, the first to have your graduation live streamed around the world, and most notably, the first to receive a Facebook invitation from your principal, Mr. Jackson. I'd also like to congratulate the families of the graduates for the essential support you have provided throughout the school experience of your children. Without you, it's unclear whether students would be walking across the stage in a few minutes. So I'd encourage the graduates, let's give all your family and friends who are in the audience a big round of applause. In terms of what I wish for you, the graduates, I wish you to retain a sense of optimism for the future. You enter a post-secondary world in a time of great stress, both nationally and around the world. It would be easy to focus on the negative while overlooking the positive. All of our brains are hardwired to do exactly that. Psychologist Rick Hansen writes that our brains, even in the modern era, are like Velcro for negative experiences, but Teflon for positive ones. It's based in evolution. Thousands of years ago, a human who heard rustling in the bushes could come to 2 assumptions. Either the noise came from a tiger hiding behind bushes, or it came from something harmless like wind or a small animal. The cost of acting on the first assumption was a bit of potentially needless activity, anxiety, and precaution. The cost of acting on the second assumption was imminent physical danger. Humans who had a negativity bias tended to survive much longer than those who did not, and the results of this process affects us to this day. Fortunately for us, tigers are much less likely to cause us harm in the modern age, But the negative experiences are still immediately burned in our memory, while most positive experiences, like the one you'll have a few minutes from now when you're walking across the stage, often have very little effect on our memory systems and in our brain. We frequently skip right past these positive experiences to find the next thing to worry about or the next problem to solve. I think if we did a scan of what occupies all of our thoughts, our challenges take up significantly more space than our achievements. As you leave the Amherst Pelham Regional Schools, I encourage you to allow the positive to occupy your thoughts as much as possible. And you can start right now by reflecting on the many accomplishments and experiences you have had over your time here. The challenges you face in future years are very real, but also very surmountable if you remember all the support you have from families and friends, and the unique inner strength and talents that each of you possess. You are fully in the control of your own destiny, which is both the most daunting and liberating aspect of being the recent high school graduate you're about to become. You've been well educated by the talented faculty in our schools to be successful in whatever pursuit you choose, and I believe each of your distinctive paths will lead to a sense of personal fulfillment and a more equitable world for all of us in the future. It is now my great pleasure to introduce a fellow graduate of Amherst Regional High School, our Regional School Committee Chair, Mr. Eric Nakajima.
Thank you and good evening. It's a real honor and privilege to be here this evening and to represent my fellow school committee members in our role in this graduation ceremony. I'd like to acknowledge the school committee members now. If you want to wave your hands. I also have to say I really appreciate going last, not because I want to stand in your way of getting your diploma, but because I knew how extraordinary the staff and leadership was of the Amherst Regional School District, but getting an opportunity to hear from Mr. Keenan and hear how close you are to him means a lot to me personally too, because it really represents the great work of the staff here and represents the strong bond that you have as a community. I also know that I have some friends in the audience who are celebrating graduations in their families tonight, and so to them, to everyone here tonight, and especially to the class of 2017, I offer my deepest congratulations and warmest wishes. As mentioned, I'm also a graduate of the class of 1985, so it's kind of cool for me to be here because quite a while ago, I was sitting down where you are now waiting to get my diploma. So without further ado, and on behalf of the class of 1985, I look forward to reading the following. As chair of the Amherst Pelham Regional School Committee, I hereby certify that all members of the 2017 Amherst Regional High School senior class who are present here tonight have completed all the necessary requirements and are entitled to receive a high school diploma. Congratulations.
Great, thank you. Tell me when.
They're not lined up yet.
Okay. Oh, should I pull this down? Where is it?
What did you say?
Oh, where's the mic? I don't know where it is.
It's right here. Where my hand is.
Okay, got it. Got it, okay. It's nice and low.
I thought Terry normally. Okay. They're in line.
I can go?
Okay.
Right. Ali Adel Abdel Maksoud. Solomon Isaiah Albertine. Regina Hope Alkavich. Sandra Jeanette Alvarado Mendoza. Tatiana Arroyo Torres. Khadija Jana Asadullah. Sakina Pandita Asadullah. Nicholas Stephen Auerbach. Jalicia Tammy Austin. Maha Shaquille Awasi. Jacob Barrett Balderston. Nathan Samuel Barron Silburn. Melanie Irene Barrows. Aiden Leo Nicholas O'Brien Bass. Seth Evan Bella Hunter. Karen Grace Benedetto. Wait a minute. I'm lost. Oh. Kyra Andrea Benjamin. Storm Marquise, Benton. Sorry. Benjamin Charles Berger. Grace Erin Bertrand. Mercer Alden Blanchard. Sarah Weechin Blatz. Ava Claire Blumkar. Isabella Rosaline Bonilla. Avery Paul Lawrence Bowen. Juliana Marie Bowen. Samuel Philip Boyle. Oliver Dooley Brubaker. William Blake Buddington. Julian David Burkoff. Amalia Rose Butler. Kahim Kajak Campbell. Oh my God, I blew it. Alexander Jacob Cantor. Liam Michael Bresnan Carolyn. Gianna Marie Catalano. Meg Fiona Kay. Austin James Choquette. Dante Traub Citino. Avery Connor Clotfelter. Diana Louise Corley. Candido Firmino Suarez Ramos Rivera. Brandon Carl Dahlman. Claudia Kaplan Danford. Donnell Daquan Davis. I'm lost again. Who's the next one?
Sage.
Oh, Maya Sage Gertz DiChiara. Jacob Edward Demling. Amariah May Deza. Ryan Christopher Paradis Dinger. Dylan Peter Donahue. William Bill Duffy.
Thomas Bullock is not here.
Oh, he's not here. Okay. Maya Calypso Durham. Trevor Edwards Kemp. Cole Harrison Elson. Carla Escobar Quintanilla. Indiana Najaret Espinol Taruno. Rafael Eliana Fabrizi. Let's see, I lost it. But I got the wrong one. Wait, Olga, I lost her. Yeah, but she has a middle name. I got it. Okay. Sorry. Olga Marta Veronica Farnham. Robert Timothy Felton. Ianai Blessed Gomez Ferreira. Kelly Renice Baeza Ferreira. Julian Sarai Fisher Frank. Charles William Floquet. Ethan Jacques Floquet. Madison Louise Sear Flukiger. Kelly Nicole Ford. Sarah Asbury France. Jeremiah Robert Friedman. Gabriel Tyler Gaeta. Andres Elias Gilpin Falk.
Benjamin Xavier Gilsdorf. Ben Andrew Joyce Goldman. Daniel Rafael Pillard Gonzalez. Laura Kate Goodale. Brianna Lynn Gutierrez.
D'Antoine Jahad Hamilton. Elizabeth Christine Hanlon. Samuel Michael Hare Steig. Scott James Harvey Arnold. Zachary Lee Hatiras. Sierra Joy Victor Hausthorpe. Aiden Davenport Hayes. Nina Elizabeth Hayes. Abigail Magdalena Helser. Kahil Hassan Henderson. Fiona Lee Herder. Samson Matthew Hemion Heyer. Maxwell Owen Hopley. Marty Jackie Huen. Kimberly Alexandria Margaret Hall. Maya Lena Jabrala. Jennifer Elizabeth Joy. Tejan Joyner. Hunter James Juras. Jonah Pinto Kane. Ian Wilson Kay. Burton Kachung. Urel Agonifer Kabadi. Carolyn Grace Kelly. Liam Sopal Kelly. Catherine Aurelia Milam King. Samantha Lily Tuhong Skinner Klein. Abigail Grace Eddy. Egeria Kyrie Kane. Noah Timberlake Kramer. Margaret Bryn Kraus. Nikayla Malika Crouch. Anastasia Kwasu. Lada Kwasu. Suling Lam. Shannon Joy Lambert. Natasha Lucienne Lambert Mergendal. Sarah Isabel Levy. Ling Li. Amy Mae Miyama Lynch. Daniel Lopes Lira. Emma Rachel Mack. Sabrina Safi Makeda. Christopher Dante Maldonado. Yadiel Eloy Marte Torres. Nathan James Master Alexis. Catherine Elizabeth McCarthy. Stephen James McCudden. Delia Rose McHale. Caroline Ann McLaughlin. Elizabeth Dorothy McLaughlin. Allison Micah Winograd McNamara. Isaiah Michael Mead. Morgan Grace Menzik. Gabriel Meffam. Daniel Asa Miller Grossman. Jennifer Rubidia Molina Alvarado. Maria Pascalia Munzirias. Harleen Kaur Mutani. Milka Tewani Mumpampa Muanji. Sham Tewani Mumpampa. Isola Simmons Murray. Assam Mustafa. Patrick Callum O'Connell. Liam Timothy O'Connor. Leandra Gael Paris. Adita Patel. Preet Humanshu Patel. Victoria Elizabeth Jeske Patton. Israel Benjamin Pina Espinosa. Cidelene do Rosario Pereira da Vega. Alexander Turgeon Perry. Thomas Gilmet Perry. Hugh Min Pham. Janice Lingdan Pham. Lauren Emma Phillips Jackson. Talia Pope. Kendall Ann Pittman. Daniel Fernandez Portos. Annie Pearl Pollock. Sonia Libo Mihaela Posner. Cameron Powell. Jillian Ruby Powell.
Sydney Frances Rabb. Collins Ramos Silva Evora. Ashwin Tristan Anukuri Randier. Joshua David Radens. Aaron Ashley Reagan Ladd. Manali Joan Reggae Colt. Megan Catherine Rice. Jovan Alec Rivera. Kaylin Marie Rivera. Nicholas Morris Rivera. Emma Madeline Robson. Giovanni Carlos Rodriguez. Cody James Michael Rooney. Isaiah Jamal Rue. Kylie Catherine Lane Russell. Allison Kate Rutherford. Benjamin McLeod Ryan. Paula Science Fernandez. Naya Joe Saunders. Lydia Jasmine Sawyer. Emma Elaine Schneider. William Gregory Schoenberger. Selena Sang. Eva Shannon Daybeck. Andre Shepard. Devin Shabazz Schuler. Benjamin Aaron Siege. Claire Victoria Siege. Maya Noelani Spalding Fetcher. Noah Eugene Spiegel. Fatima Suarez. Marcus Manoram Soth Suem. Jonathan David Swan Jr. Benjamin Stephen Tan. Vibal Alvin Tang. Kishan Tawani. Reagan Elizabeth Tebow. Alejandro Toro Rodriguez. Zachary William Traeger McDonald. Caitlin Victoria Vakula. Samantha Kate Valentine. Emma Vanderleeden. Maria Fernanda Vargas Caizon. Jeremy Waldinger White. Alexander Walsh. Isabel Charlotte Wardlaw. Julia Claire Warren. Troy Allen Watson. Maria Moran Worley. Jonah Page Weinbaum. Nathaniel Colin Dickey Weinberg. Manya Louise Weintraub. Nia Adoranque Whitmall. Josiah Messiah de Jesus Wilson. Ethan James Wolf. Harrison Reed Wolf Landau. Maria Ann Wood. Pedia Yak. Shira Maayan Yeskil Mednick. And Noah Allen Zobel.
Sweet. Killing it. Absolutely. Absolutely.